see here. Can you hear me okay?
One more time.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good because we're recording already. So.
Nice.
As I'm trying to grab this ice with these metal chopsticks.
Just throw it in.
I didn't even, dude, well, here's the thing, though. You never know, right? Like, normally, yeah, dude, I'd be digging in with my hands or whatever. But you have guests over, and you never know, man. Like, if I'd have went in there and grabbed that ice, and you'd have come back with, like, well, did you wash your hands? I would have been mortified.
Coronavirus.
Come on, man. Yeah, we got all that we're dealing with now. And why did they have to name it after a beer?
I don't know.
You need to bring that mic in, bro.
I heard somebody call it fear porn yesterday.
Really?
Newest fear porn. Yeah. I thought that was an interesting word for it.
I have not heard that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, try again. Bring that mic up.
Is that better?
Yeah. So, like I said, about a fist max. Otherwise, you sound off in the distance.
All right. He's gonna keep me warm.
Yeah.
That's buddy.
Elvis he's all about that love. Brian has met my German Shepherd. All right, so did you wish? Because I just saw you walk in with a cup of coffee. Did you want some?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's take it up.
Come on. I never know. Like, I'm always a home pour kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know the officials. I'm not a mixologist, but obviously, if that's not enough, help
The
yourself.
proper amount of fingers.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know about that.
I'm all about generous pour.
There you go. Home pour.
Home pour.
Home pour. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Big B Mortgage Podcast. Today, I got a guest that I'm really excited to have sitting in the chair and who I'm just going to call him out right now is probably completely nervous. Mr. Brian Hurd.
Nervous? Come on. I was born for this.
Oh, there it is. There it is. There's that confidence I've been looking for, baby.
Yep.
There's that herdness. Is that a thing?
I've heard them all.
You've heard them all?
Heard of herds.
Ooh. Dang. Okay.
You like that?
Yeah. I'm going to hold on to that one.
Come on, give me one of yours. What'd you hear growing up?
Huh? Dude,
Me
my
too,
initials...
shoe.
Look, bro, my initials are BS, so fill in the blank wherever you choose.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, growing up, I mean, I grew up in Laredo, and so nobody could pronounce Shoal back in those days. So I've been called everything from Skull, Chul, Chol, Shoe, like the whole 9 yards.
Can you say Laredo again? Ooh,
Laredo.
pretty good. Hey, for a California kid, that wasn't bad.
That wasn't bad, dude.
Not bad.
I can tell you've
Smart.
been traveling now. You've been going down there, right?
Yes.
You've been kind of doing the circuit all throughout Texas?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't know what the valley was until about 6 months ago, and I do now.
There you go.
Yes. Yeah.
What parts are you hitting?
McAllen and Laredo.
There you go.
Predominantly.
Dude, you can go Laredo. I just do it as a bad habit.
Gosh, Elvis, I pet him once, and he's just not going to let me stop.
No, he's not. Hey, bud. Come on. All right. Chill out. Lay down. Relax, or else I'm going to have to put you out, okay? Outside, I mean.
Yeah, that was... No, don't.
No.
Don't put him down. Don't put
No,
him out.
not in
Don't
Austin.
do that.
Not in Austin. Yeah, so hey, everybody. Again, Brian Hurd. You're with Thrive Mortgage.
Sure.
And what's your official title over there now?
Vice President of Build by Thrive Mortgage.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mic's still a little off. Got to get that mic.
That better?
Yeah. So Vice President of Build
Build by Thrive Mortgage. Yes,
by
sir.
Thrive Mortgage. So what is that?
So when we rebranded, good year or so ago,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a little over a year now, it was National Builder Division. But National Builder Division, that's such an old school bank name.
Right.
So we rebranded from Georgetown Mortgage to Thrive, a little more hip, a little more with the times. So we wanted to come up with something that was...
Hold on, dude. He's not going to leave you alone. Keep on going, man. Keep on going.
So we wanted to come up with something that was equally, I guess, hip and really representative of exactly what we want to help clients and builders do, and that's build houses. So I've got a genius marketing group, and big shout out to Joe Wright, who came up with the actual brand and logo for Build, and that's what we are.
Yeah, because prior to that, Georgetown, I mean, those of us in Central Texas and obviously certain parts of South, we were all familiarized with it. Mm-hmm. And then the rebranding came about, and it was like, oh, hey, what are these guys doing over there?
Yeah, we were kind of known as that small, gosh, I hope I don't offend anybody, but podunk little mortgage company in
Sure.
Georgetown, Texas. And not many people really knew who we were,
Right.
including myself. I mean, when I first or before I joined, that's exactly what I thought. It was just sequestered to small markets and whatnot. Come to find out, it was actually much bigger than I thought. It just had so many different. We had a lot of different LLCs, and we were called one thing in one market, another in a different market. So by rebranding the Thrive and kind of bringing all of our branches and locations under one umbrella, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because you've been on board with them how long now?
2 years.
2 years
Almost.
already.
Yeah,
Wow,
just a couple
dude.
days over 2 years.
Dude, the time has flown.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. And so tell me about your background, because I mean, I know like you and your wife are like a team, and she does the loans and you're out there kind of like bringing in the volume, for lack of a better term, or at least that's how it was when I kind of initially met you. But tell me a little bit about your background. Like,
Yeah, so we're actually not a team. Well, we are,
Oh.
but not professionally anyway. So, so I've been in
let
the
me
industry.
retract that last statement, everyone.
So I've been in the industry almost 20 years now. I guess I joined back in 2002, 2003.
Good Lord, child.
After my career at Dell. Yes, the Dell computer
Yeah.
that half of the city of Round Rock worked at the time.
I would argue more, but yeah, go for it.
Probably so. So I got into real estate and did that for about 6 to 9 months. Found that going from a Fortune 500 very corporate organization to being a realtor that was culture shock. All due respect to my realtor friends out there, that was a little rough. So I started working for a small internet lender in Austin. I think it was about 25 employees at the time, and 8 months later we had, 80, 90. Companies no longer in existence now. I won't go into details why, but yeah, that's really kind of where I got started. I like the structure. I love the fact that I could start moving into a field. So my dad's a custom builder. I've been around it all my life. And this was a way for me to kind of get back into the home industry, so to speak. So I started in about 2002, 2003. After my less than a year stint with a internet lender, I joined Countrywide, along with half the rest of the industry.
Right on.
And spent several good years there. And then really started chasing builder-based mortgage companies. It's not easy to find, which I know you know about. So I've done some time at Wells Fargo and some other great organizations. I actually met my wife at a little mortgage company in town called Sente. Worked there for 8 years. Met my wife there. That's where she was my processor, and
Gotcha.
And ultimately we started dating and got married. And then great company,
Right.
but and then made one stop at another mortgage company, and really I think it was back in about 2008, 2009, when the rest of the finance world was hurting a little bit. That's when I really started focusing on the builder side.
Right.
I'd always kind of dabbled in it, and back in the Countrywide days, great product.
Sure.
You could sign on the dotted line and give me 5%, and 30 days later you'll have a construction loan. But it wasn't until 2008, 2009 that I really said, you know what? Again, all due respect to my realtor friends, I love working with builders. And I think it was a lot of my connection back from my Dell days working, I did large corporate account acquisition. So I love the B2B aspect of it.
Right.
I love creating strategic partnerships. And once I realized that was really my cup of tea, that was my passion, everything kind of took off from there. I was extremely blessed and had worked with a builder in Central Texas that was actually flourishing in that period of time. So spent the next several years as an originator, really focusing on new construction, builders, that sort of thing. And then I guess it would have been about 2013 or so, 2014, that I started to move over to the leadership side. As much as I like working with clients, I found that my passion was really, creating these larger strategic partnerships, but also helping loan officers grow
Right.
in that space. The ones that really wanted to, because not everybody can. And really, that's been my career path over, really, I guess the last 6 some odd years. And now that's what I get to do every day. And I say I get to do it because really it's fun. I love what I do.
Yeah, you have to.
You do.
I mean, because when and correct me, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but when I made that similar kind of transition over from I'm just going to worry about my pipeline to I want to do this at a bigger level.
Yes.
There's a certain aspect of you can't be in that for the money. You know what I mean?
True.
Like,
That's true.
Because let's face it, like if it was just about the money, I would still be slinging loans today because that's where the lion's share of the money is.
Correct.
Is actually doing that. And so it's like when people tell me, whenever I have originators come and say, hey man, I want to take that next level, I want to manage a team or whatever, I always have to have a conversation of, okay, what does that mean to you? You know what I mean? Like, because you're not going to get rich on an override.
No.
You're not. Like, most of the time you're still going to end up producing unless you get to a point where you're managing like an area or a region or something like that. And even then, you've got to be someone that people will trust, right? Like, I don't need to have all the answers on how to build your business, but I at least need to be able to know that you trust me, that I'm going to support you to get there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? And so that's why it's always been one of those things for me, like, when people tell me that, I never want to hold anyone back because I was that guy. You were that guy. But our industry is known for taking a top producer, slapping a title on him, giving him a pat on the back and say, go get him, Tiger. And then they still got to go out and figure out this whole other level of the business.
Well, and I think it was Jack Day that said, that's one of the worst things that companies can do in a lot of cases, because you take your really, really good producers and expect them always to be good leaders, and it's just not always the case.
It's not.
Or they have different expectations on what their income's going to be, and you're right. I think it has a high level. You have to have a high level of passion for it.
Sure.
And if you don't have that, it's just never going to work out.
Right.
And again, fortunately, I found that that's really what I enjoy doing most is going out and building relationships, building these partnerships on behalf of our loan officers.
Sure. Yeah, for us, it's kind of like the long game, but it's also the long game for the LOs too that we help.
Absolutely.
Going back to it though, about the passion part of it, I think the same is also absolutely true about whether you, like you have done and like some other folks that I'm friends with, to where you just pursue this degree of business with, and not that you would ever turn a loan down from a realtor, but to where it's like you're saying, okay, I want my specialty to be
correct,
this builder model.
Yes.
Because it's not doing time, but during the same time period that you described, the 08, 09, I worked for a lender out in San Antonio that was really heavy in the builder.
Yeah.
And I got a dose of that. And it was great because the builders were still building houses, even though everybody, like, the world's ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The builders were still building like crazy, but guess what, man? That is a whole different set
Completely
of accountability. Their expectations of their lender partner
through the roof.
Through the roof.
Yep.
And I don't mean to say that in any kind of a derogatory sense. It's just, that's like, again, if somebody says, okay, I'm going to go after builder business. Okay. Are you sure?
To the point where you almost say, wait a minute. Not that you want to dissuade them, but in some cases you have to. Because it's not for everybody.
It's not. And I've actually had people tell me after we have the talk, and it's like, nah, I think I'll stick with realtors.
Yep. It's
like,
a 30-day cycle, and it's what you know, and yeah, you're right. And I think that's one of the conversations I have to have, because everybody says, or most people say, they want to do builder business.
Sure.
But in my estimation, and it's not that it's rocket science. It's not that it's any better than resale or whatnot. It's just different. And I typically say 15-20% of all the originators out there, are ready, willing, and able to do it.
Right.
And it's not. and my guys hear me say this all the time, but it's not low-hanging fruit, but it's one heck of a long-term annuity. It really is. But it's also a 7-day-a-week job, and I know a lot of people that are working resale think the same way, but these especially when you're talking volume builders, that business truly gets done Saturdays and Sundays.
Oh yeah.
And I think some of the best LOs are the ones that are single, and just because they have that time and they don't have that family commitment. I mean, I know for my wife and I, she is a loan officer now, and she does a lot of builder business, and it's kind of turnabout's fair play. She was very patient when I was an originator, working nonstop throughout the weekend, and now I have to make sure I reciprocate. Because it is a 7-day-a-week job. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, lending in general is, but
Correct.
When you're servicing those builders, it really is.
Well, yeah, you're there, and sometimes that means you got to show up and go out to a builder's model home, or in fact, I was in Houston last Saturday. Much as I so needed a day off, it was we were down there helping one of my. I call him my boy, but my boy Brad. But he was down there doing a seminar for a builder, and that's when the business gets done. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it is what it is. It's what we all signed up for.
It is. For better or worse. Yeah.
For better or worse. Yeah. How much has technology helped you with that, though? I mean, because honestly, like now it's the age of tech and marketing, and I want to get into what's lacking in those two statements here in a minute, but like, have you seen from your model of business that the technology piece of being able to do a lot more on your phone has helped you?
So, yes, the problem is you have, at least on the builder side, an industry that is probably one of the slowest to adapt. I mean, building industry has not really evolved. I mean, it's starting to now with, of course, different techniques and all that. But it's been slower to adapt to all of these technologies, than I think the regular resale world is. Take it a step further. Of course, you have construction lending, which is a huge part of what we do. Now, yeah. I mean, we're still a ways away from being able to do things like e-closings and all that cool stuff that we can do, on the regular
purchase side.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, it definitely helps, and I think a lot of what we do is work with builders and help them realize just how much technology can help. Yeah. Whether it's taking an app or whether it's, how we handle pipeline meeting. It used to be that you show up once a week and on site and go through the builder with every single item. Well, now you can do it live updates 7 days a week.
Dude, I used to have to go to those meetings. Like back in
many of those myself.
2009,
Yeah.
The builder I was the primary for, 3 a week, 3 hours in duration each one.
Wow.
So I was spending 9 hours a week just in a meeting.
Yeah, there's a few that do it every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 hours a week with one builder.
9,
and especially
baby, 9.
9 hours.
9, because each
3
meeting,
days,
3 days a week, 3 hours a meeting, and 2 if it was a holiday.
How many homes a year were they building?
A lot.
I guess so.
Like we were still
that much content to talk about,
dude. And the way I got into that account was just, I mean, it's a story for another beverage, but yeah,
happened overnight, right?
I hate to say it, but yeah.
Oh, come on, you're gonna.
No, I'm not even. I know I'm about to ruin the whole thing. No, check this out. I was a broker, right? Or I wasn't a broker, but I was working for a broker. And this is like right in the middle when the first thing you did when you got up in the morning was check Implode to see if your company was still there, right? So anyway, I got these clients, and this was in San Antonio, and I got them approved and everything, and yada yada yada. And I'll never forget, there was 3 of them. 3, and it felt like they all went to the same place. Well, they all went to the same builder, but different places. Yeah. But anyway, I got that call. Hey, man, I'm not going to be able to move forward with you. Why not? Well, I came out and I saw this new house, and, I've got to use their lender.
Oof.
I'm like, what? Yeah, no, I got to use their lender. And I'm like, that's baloney. Let me talk to the sales agent. And and I'm like raising a ruckus about it. And
I hear it every day, multiple times a day.
Dude, they're just like, no, there's nothing I can do, man. Sorry. Right. And I'm just fine. So 3 gone. So in my mind, I want to like burn this place to the ground. because they just cost me a whole bunch of money in a time when every dollar counted.
Yep.
So anyway, about a month later, I get a call from that sales counselor that I chewed out. And she's like, hey, is this Bobby Scholl? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, hi, who's this? And she's like, this is so-and-so from such and such builder. And I'm like, oh, yeah, what do you want? Like, straight up, like, I didn't care. And she was like, well, remember that client you had? And yeah, can you still do it? What? It's like, our lender can't get it done. And, you know, they said that if you can do it, we'll let you do it and we'll give you the incentive. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Fine. So I did it. Got that loan closed it on time.
And it all started from there.
That was the first piece. And then it was like, she called me again and she was like, hey, I got these 2 other deals that just got denied. You want to take a look at them? Like, they've been through 3 other lenders. Sure, I'll take a look at them. Took a look at them, found out what they missed or overlooked. Boom, got them done. So next thing you know, that's ultimately what led to me getting the meeting. I started off as the third or fourth look guy that could get the incentive. So it had to go through 3 other people. And then within about 6 months, I went from third to fourth to second to eventually first. And it was great. I mean, every day you just had your clients lined up. But I remember when Obama first got elected?
Too.
You know, election night, they're announcing it. I'm at the office taking a 10:03. When he's like taking his little victory lap and stuff like that, you know, I'm still at the office taking a 10:03.
Yep.
You know.
Well, when you're at the office, you know, if you know, December 31st falls on a weekday, or heck, whether it falls on a weekday or not, you're there.
Yeah.
You're there until the last deal closes.
I had to go in on Black Friday once.
Ooh, I bet that was fun.
That was real fun. It was me and 3 other people.
You wanted to go shopping instead, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wanted to go and stand in line at Kohl's or whatever.
Yeah.
But the last one, I remember the last story, and then I'll move on. But I remember we were having our 3rd child, right? And I had prepped everybody. Like, hey, I'm going to be out, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to have my phone off. My wife's giving birth. It's our 3rd kid, yada, yada, yada. I go, we're at the hospital, you know, we checked in the morning. I mean, literally it felt like by 1, 2 o'clock, like the baby was there. We were back in the room. She was resting. All of a sudden I get this like knock on the door. And it's like the nurse is bringing in like this huge bouquet, beautiful bouquet, and like food and a little onesie with the builder's name on it,
Nice.
And a nice card. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so
Nice.
sweet.
Yep.
You know, like that makes it all worth it.
I'm sensing there's more.
There's a
story.
but. I get it. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. I'm feeling all good. I open the card. It's like, congratulations on the new addition to your family. Can you please call us as soon as you can turn your phone back on?
I hope to God that was tongue in cheek.
Dude, no,
come on.
they had it. No, for real. For real. And you know what? I didn't care. Like, it was like, but I mean, still, they took the time to send me that.
Yeah.
You know, they could have just sent a runner to tell me to pick up my phone.
It was all disguised as we get where you are,
But when you can, give us a shout. You know?
And I think I think it's about setting proper expectations as well. I mean, what I try to do when we go into a new relationship is, of course, you have to let the loan officer know what kind of commitment you're getting yourself into ahead of time. But, you know, it does help if you go into these relationships and when you're sitting down with a builder, hey, you know what, our people have families, they have lives, you know, and, you know, if you're looking for this, you know, 100% time commitment, it's not healthy. You know, that's not who we are. I mean, we are, you know, there's the Eagle Home Mortgages of the world and all that, and they're great at that kind of thing. You know, what I want to do, though, is make sure that they know that, you know, let's handle it responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you need to reach my guys, you know, if you know, like when I was a loan officer, hey, if I'm sitting in DKR, chances are I'm not going to take a loan app. You know, I'm just not going to. However, you know, if a sales agent really needs my help, and if it's end of quarter, end of year, whatever, you know, or they need to sign a contract, just send me a text, let me know. I'll walk out of the stadium, or I'll find somewhere where it's quiet enough. And it's not that you have to take a loan app necessarily right then and there, but it's saying, hey, calling the client, and you have to be willing to, calling the client saying, you know what, hey, reinforce your builder,
Right.
reinforce the sale, of course, and then saying, hey, can we set up a time to talk Monday morning?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, that's more than enough because, they want to feel like, well, hey, you know what? I didn't expect anybody to call me at 6 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening. But the fact that you took the time to do it, that's all most people need.
Exactly.
And then there are going to be some that actually really want to go through the app right then and there, and some builders that really require it. But what we try to do is make sure that they know that, hey, we're an extension of you guys. And, having that reinforcing phone call can make the difference between them walking out of that builder's model home right into the one right next door and signing a contract because their lender
happened to be there.
What happened to be there was accessible.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're always accessible, but I do think it's incredibly important to make sure that, there is a fair work-life balance and that all parties agree to it.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise you'll burn out. And I think that in my opinion, most of these relationships, that's why they fail. Because the first 6 months, they're great, but then complacency sets in or burnout sets in, and, those site visits start to slow
Fade.
down. Exactly. And you go into a lot of these builders that have in-house mortgage companies and you say, hey, what do you think of your lender? Well, I haven't seen them in 6 months, or they're not returning my phone calls as quickly. So making sure that everybody's aware of what's going on, and then setting proper expectations and working as a true partner instead of just the lender, which is a connotation I can't stand.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was very fortunate that even though, there was so much time commitment, like I described, like I was still, I was their partner, and I wasn't even the only one on the account. Like it was big enough that I actually tapped, like, hey, let's, we need more support. So it ended up being something to where it became manageable. But dude, like anybody who just tries to do it by themselves, especially if you've got a substantial size builder, it's
tough.
It's
really
tough, man. It's
really
tough.
tough.
Like it's like being the only guy for all of KW, in a high producing office or whatever. It's a challenge.
Which is why I think competition's always good, and I love the preferred lender model. I love it when builders have 2 or 3 lenders, and I know that may sound counterintuitive. It's great to be the king, so to speak, but if you're the king, you have a bullseye on your back every single day, and anything that can and will go wrong, it's always your fault, always. Sure. Whereas a 2 or 3 lender scenario, you have to be better than the other 2, and to some extent they help you do your job. Because if you do it and do it very well, you have a frame of reference to compare that to.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're the only guy or only girl, what do you compare it to?
Exactly.
An impossible standard, so to speak. Plus I believe that competition, it's healthy. It keeps everybody on their toes.
Gotta have it.
It really keeps that complacency from setting in. We do have relationships where we're the only one, but never be afraid of competition.
No, I love it. You got to feed off of it.
I think you do.
Embrace
Keep your people
it.
honest. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're competitors in a way.
We are.
And we're sitting here drinking bourbon and doing a podcast. It's all good. So tell me more about like what you do for underneath this position. I mean, kind of take me down the road of it. Like, I mean, I know you're traveling. Do you manage a special team of LOs to do these loans, or are you just kind of overall going out and creating more capture rate with the builders in Texas?
Yeah,
that. Okay, cool.
So,
all right, podcast over, everybody.
No, so it's a really good question. So, I don't have a specific team of LOs, and I think that goes to part of my philosophy on builder. I think, what a lot of companies do is they'll go out and secure a builder account and then build a team around that account, and I'm not a huge fan. I don't like centralized builder accounts.
Okay.
I think they're, kind of the very close to an in-house type lender, and it's just, I'm not saying they're bad. It's just not my philosophy. What I like to do is first off determine, who are my 15, 20%? Who are my go-to? And we have some really, really great builder-centric people, and I love working with them to death. And it's always a lot more fun when you have somebody that really knows, understands, and is passionate about builder, let's go out and hunt together. And that's the crux of what I do, is going out and let's go build builder relationships around the individual team. And I'm a big believer in selling the LO first, company second, and features and benefits third, because every builder's different, just like every home is different. Every builder's different, and I think if you try to throw a one-size-fits-all team at them, it just doesn't work out as well. So a large part of my job is identifying that 15-20% that really wants to go after it and is willing to put in the time and dedication, and then let's develop a strategy. Let's look through the Metro study numbers. Let's look through the data. Let's figure out what are viable targets. What targets make sense for Build by Thrive? Because we're not going to be a good fit for everybody. Just like not all builders are going to be good for us, and vice versa. So we want to figure out which targets are viable in any of our geographic areas, and then let's go out really from a two-pronged approach. What I love to do is it's kind of a boot camp style program, and what I mean by that is it's typically a 10 to 12 week program where the first 2 months, Bobby, all of it is the loan officer going out and spending time creating what I like to call activity. And it's good because first and foremost, it shows they're dedicated. You got into your account pretty early on. Usually it doesn't happen like that. Usually it takes a little more than one phone call, one bad
and me
deal.
being an asshole.
And you being an asshole, exactly. That doesn't always work either. I'm not saying you have to kiss ass, but yeah. So and really them going out again. I like to call it creating activity. If it's a volume builder, visiting their communities, doing your milk route. Huge believer in the milk route, and in a non-sales capacity. We're not talking great rates, great products we close on time. That's just a commodity. Everybody can do that. So taking interest, tell me about your model home, take me on a tour of the community. What does your inventory look like? How long have you, developing rapport while showing interest. But yeah, so it shows that they're willing to go visit a community every week or every other week for the first couple months. The other part of the equation is I like to take the bottom up and top down approach. And when I am engaging with division presidents or VP of sales and marketing, what have you, it's a much more impactful conversation if I can say, my loan officer spent the last 60 days getting to know your communities, getting to know your salespeople, your process, what inventory looks like. It's a lot better than just saying, hey, we've got great rates and products, close on time.
That doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And I've got this really cool LO that I can plug in. Nobody cares.
I always answer my phone.
Yeah, exactly. I'm accessible 7 days a week. Who cares? But if I can say, yes, they've spent 2 months really getting to know it, putting it, that's a pretty extended research period, so to speak. And I believe in being prepared when you go to a meeting. But it shows that you're willing to put in that work. And think about it. If you're a sales rep for a builder, you've got lenders knocking on your door day in and day out, and they hear the same crap.
Kind of like being an LO and having recruiters call.
Exactly like that. There's the sales model, or the sales office is always right there in front. They got a big window, and they see the loan officer walking up in a
their handful of flyers
with their flyers, and oh gosh, here you go. And if I'm a sales agent, I'm gonna pretend I'm busy. I'm on the phone or whatever.
More donuts.
More, yeah. Breakfast, taco delivery people, essentially. So, but and they'll come in and say, "Give me a shot. I've got really cool products. I'm great at dealing with your second looks and all that kind of stuff." Well, more often than not, they may come back once or twice more, and say, "Hey, give me a shot, give me a shot, give me a shot," and then after that, they'll never come back again. Yeah. So if I'm, and one of these days, every now and again, I'll think of what it would have been like to be a builder sales agent. But if you think about it, if I'm a sales agent, I'm going to make them sweat it out a little bit, and the ones that, and I've had sales agents tell me this, that they've given somebody a deal because they came in relentlessly for 6 months or 9 months or whatever. It's basically a pity lead. And I don't
Right.
care what, hey, great. Whatever gets them to send that first lead for you. You got that first lead, and then it took off from there. But you have to get to that first lead. So I think, you have to make sure that people are willing to get to the point where they show that diligence, so to speak. So a lot of it is strategizing. How do we go out and target the builder business? Because, again, so many people say they want to do it, but I have no idea where to get started. What do I do? Great. And again, it's not that it's rocket science, but it's something I've done in one capacity or another for the last 10 some odd years. So, I've found, and I started out going community to community to community over and over and over again. I'm a little better at it now, a little quicker at it now.
You know which tacos to buy.
I know which ones to buy. But yeah, so really figuring out we want to figure out how to strategize, which builders to go after, how do we get started, and then really again at that 2.5 month mark, once I know they're really dedicated into it, that's when I'll go top down. That's when we'll start going to leadership and say, okay, let's see if we're a good fit. Now, obviously, I've got loan officers now that are I know they're good. I know they're dedicated. I know they understand it, and we'll go right in up front. But that's a lot of what I do. The good thing is I get to do it nationally. We've got pretty good bases in a pretty wide variety of states.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, which I never thought I'd be flying to places like Ohio and North Carolina and Tennessee and all that to do it. And fortunately, builder business is builder business.
Right.
Doesn't matter whether it's in Dayton, Ohio or Austin, Texas. It's essentially they have the same issues, same challenges. Now different competition, of course.
Sure.
But yeah, let's figure out who we're going to go after, and let's figure out how we're going to do it. So that's it. That's the largest portion, and then of course, I love the company I work for now, just because, I kind of call it my little chemistry set, so to speak. It's a very, Thrive's a very entrepreneurial company. If it's compliant, and we can make money off it, obviously that's what we're here for, then we'll give it a shot. It's not that everything succeeds, but you don't know. So
you're not afraid to break something in order to find what works, right?
And that's a huge part of the reason I joined, a couple of years ago, and remains the same. Finding out what products are really needed, really unique stuff out there, solving issues with builders like, contingencies. We have a program that effectively removes the need for contingent contracts, and then sticking your neck out a little bit, because I think you have to.
Yeah.
Let's face it. We're I think we'll be a run rate wise a $2 billion organization by the end of the year, but there's plenty of organizations that are substantially larger. So we're not going to beat them on the technology necessarily and marketing game, even though I think we're a pretty heavy tech company. But you have to be creative, and I think the willingness of our leadership to say, hey, you know what, that could work.
Right.
As Roy will tell you, he'll give you the rope, and you can either use it as a lifeline or hang yourself, and so far, fortunately, over the last couple of years, I haven't hung myself. So, product development, and then education. That's another big part of it. And then, of course, the marketing side, which I get to play in, although behind the scenes too much, and that's why the opportunity, when you suggested I come do the call or the podcast with you, that's something I need to get better at, because we have a really cool story to tell, and I love what I do, and I love telling it to, put me in front of a division president, and I'll be giddy all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But getting out there and video and podcast and all that kind of stuff, showing and sharing, that's what I've got to get better at. So
yeah, that's why I did a podcast though. See, I'm not strappingly handsome like you. I have a face for radio, so I just hide behind the mic. It's all good. Nah, dude. But here's the thing: like video, podcasts are great because you can set them up quick.
Yep.
And they're not expensive to do.
Yeah.
Like at all. Like really. Video, some people would argue, is even easier depending on what you're looking to do. Right? Because I've seen pictures on social of like you guys with like a video crew in the office or something like that, or just multiple cameras set up and the lighting and all that. You start diving into that world, that gets expensive.
It does.
But, you know, like if you're just the guy out on the street and you're doing the Facebook Live stuff, I mean, that's as easy as your phone.
Well, and it's taken me some time to really, get to the point where I'm comfortable doing that. And I'm not there yet, but, fortunately we have a phenomenal film crew, and they do, our marketing department is, just a very bright group of individuals. And, I don't know if you've seen my first video, but they made me look good. So
I'm gonna have to look for it. I haven't seen it yet, but I will be digging up for it.
But I do like the podcast just because I love talking about the business. I love talking about builders specifically, but the industry as a whole, and in a conversation pace.
I'm about to give you a nugget.
What you got?
So a lot of this with the podcast stuff is just being able to record the audio, right?
Yep.
Splitter with a lapel mic to where it runs a dual lapel mic. You could literally be on one of your trips to Ohio or wherever, sitting down talking to the builder and being like, hey, you want to be on a podcast? Take your phone, which you're Android, right?
Yep.
So whatever your voice recorder is on that phone, and plug in your mics and literally just hit record and start recording that audio. Convert it to MP3, post it onto your website. Boom, you got a podcast.
Very creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple but creative.
Yeah, like when I first started it, doing this one, I went out and got the computer and I bought a splitter and I had the USB mics, but I couldn't get the audio right. Like the sound levels were too low. Yeah. So if you go and you actually listen to any of the first 20 some odd episodes, it's like you got to crank the car radio up in order to really hear it. Yeah. And then by that time you forget, and then you go to switch it back to music and you get blasted out of the car. So that's why I invested into the whole mixer and all that. But lapel mics, that's the way to go.
I like that idea. So, a huge part of my philosophy is, above and beyond just making sure we have the right fit. And, part of being a partner goes beyond just doing what we're paid to do. Obviously we're paid to do mortgages. But what has to happen before we get to do a mortgage, or the realtor gets paid, or the title company gets paid? Builder has to sell a house. So how do we help them do that? And I think I like the format you're talking about because, if we're going out there to different communities and doing interviews and podcasts and that sort of thing, hey, give us, 5 minutes, a 5-minute spiel. Tell us about your community. What do you love about it, and all that kind of stuff. And I like that, because I think there is obviously some trepidation with people getting on video.
Right.
But I think
video is still the more effective version.
It is.
Because people want to watch it. Two of my guys that are in Corpus Christi, they started off with a video series called like Mortgage in a Minute or something like that, to where they were sitting behind a desk and it was fun and it was silly, and I even came out in one. But then they evolved it to where they're walking, not even open houses, just homes that are for sale. So like a realtor will tell them like, hey, I got this home for sale over here, and the realtor has to be present. But they'll go and they'll do these like silly, just with the phone videos while they're walking through and looking at the neighborhood and describing the home and interviewing the agent. And so they started doing it that way, like wildfire, dude. Like now, I think they told me yesterday or the day before, I think they're booked out for the next 3 weeks.
Wow.
Just and that's like, and if they get lucky, a home sells, and then they can plug another one in. But they've had homes that they've done that video for, and within 24 hours, contract. So they're building their brand off of this, and it's nothing fancy, dude. Like I'll show you the videos, like they're on Facebook. My point to it is, if you're out there and you're in a builder model, dude. Hey man, Brian Hurd, what's up? It's Hurd time, or whatever you decide. Oh, I just gave you the name. Damn, I'm gonna have to start charging. it's Hurd time. We're over here today at this builder, blah, 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 and then blah, blah, blah. And I got this beautiful 3-bedroom. I'm going to walk you through real quick and then just walk through the house.
Well, and I think you're right. I think that's been, my issue is, realizing that, hey, it doesn't have to be this fancy video production.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. Just getting out there and using my, I'm sure you're going to tease me because I have an Android, not an Apple, but or an iPhone, whatever you call it.
King.
Yeah. Wow. I call them crapples, but hey.
Sorry.
But just getting out
See,
there.
I got 3 circles. I'm sorry.
I don't know how many I have.
You don't have 3.
I probably don't.
I'm sorry, Brian. What were you going to say, dude?
I forgot. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's realizing that, hey, it doesn't have to be this big production value video and getting out there, and I think that, again, it goes back to we as, my loan officers that really focus on builder, they have to be an extension of the builder sales force. Whether they're a custom builder or production builder, doesn't matter. And doing activities like this, I mean, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
They get the word out because builder sales agents. I mean, we have obviously several that are really good at marketing, but a lot of them, they may not be, or they may be newer to the industry and they're just waiting for leads to come in. Well, when inventory levels are below a couple months and you're selling a house under $250,000, well, you can afford to do that. Just wait for the deals to come in. But if you're selling something $500,000 and luxury production, whatever the case is, you kind of have to get off your butt and do a little bit, and to the extent that we as loan officers can help do that, we absolutely want to. So yeah, getting into that whole video thing, that's a huge goal of mine, just to tell our whole story. What is Build? Why are we different? What our philosophies are, all the way down to our loan officers that are there hitting their milk route every single week. Maybe that's what we do is a builder of the week, community of the week,
See?
or
there you go.
something like that. So
yeah. See, look, the wheels are already turning.
They are.
I can tell you, and you're gonna hold on. I know I'm gonna see it's Hurd time.
It's Hurd time.
Follow the herd. Follow the herd down to this builder.
All right.
I'll let it go. Just keep drinking that liquid courage. You'll be fine. Nah, but I don't know. The other part of it too, and this is another thing going back to these two guys. One is the hyper da-da-da-da-da guy, right? Like the real energetic and very animated. The other dude is like, okay, yes, welcome to this home. So they just kind of play off of each other. So it doesn't have to be like this whole overblown acting session. They're themselves, and it works.
Which I like. I think it's just like once I learned in my role, just be who I am. I'm not a suit and tie type guy.
No.
I've worn jeans for years. Of course, I used to get hazed by builders for walking up in a suit and tie, early in my career, at least focusing with builders. So, yeah, I learned very quickly, drop the suit and tie, or at least drop the tie anyway.
Yeah.
But be comfortable, and if you're comfortable, you love what you do, and you're passionate about it, that's all you need.
Dude, as long as your shirt's got a couple of buttons on it, you should be fine.
Yeah.
As long as there's a couple of buttons. Because I tell you what, at the former place, we were a quote-unquote T-shirt culture, and not everybody responded well to showing up in sneakers and a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's not me.
It was a little too far to the left for some.
What did you tell me? I think you said their T-shirt game is strong. That still cracks me up when I think about it. And obviously you have to dress appropriately for the occasion. But I think if you are comfortable, and the most important thing is that you're passionate about what you do, and I think that shows through. Right. More importantly than what you wear. Again, I'm not a sneakers and T-shirt guy either, though. So
no, but we share jean culture affinity, so we're good.
Yes.
So
Dallas, you kind of have to dress it up a little bit, but.
Well, and do you still have to in Houston too? No. Okay.
No.
Yeah, Houston was always one I had to make sure I at least had a sport coat in the truck. Which
I mean, it depends on who you're meeting. As
right.
Well, if I'm meeting the larger, more corporate organizations, if it's somebody that I know nothing about, I don't know their personality, I always try to go into a meeting knowing something about the person. Obviously, you do your research on the company, but I want to know what's their personality, quirks, that sort of thing. If I don't know, I run hot, so I'll tell you there are several months in the year in Texas where you don't want me wearing a sport coat. I'll just be a sweaty mess. But yeah, you dress
Oh,
appropriately.
make no mistake, baby. I'm that dude who wears it into the room, and when we're about to sit down, takes it right off. Roll the sleeves up. Yeah, because I mean, look, you're in shape. I'm over here, auditioning for Revenge of the or Return of the Jedi. So yeah, I gotta make sure that what I'm wearing breathes.
Yes. Well, and I get really animated too. So I again, it just kind of goes back to me loving what I do. I'll get the more animated I get, the hotter I'll get. I have to be careful. Because if I'm wearing a suit and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be real uncomfortable real quick. So just be yourself and be comfortable.
It's the only way to do it.
It is. I mean, again, once I learned to drop that facade and that I had to look and act and speak a certain way, it's all by the grace of God. Well, a lot of it was grace of God, but everything started to click.
Yeah. Once I learned it was okay to actually be myself.
Yes.
That's when things changed.
Yeah, I think so.
Because, and I don't know, psychology or what have you. Obviously, sales is a lot of psychology, but I mean, it's there's something to trying to put on that, like you said, the facade. Mm-hmm. Like trying to walk into the room and be the adamant professional when all you want to do is crack a joke about, something.
If that's your style, do it.
See, and that's my style. Now, sometimes it gets me in trouble, but, not often.
But if the margin of victories versus, defeats is high, then I think you're doing okay, and a big long-term mentor of mine, Steve Rigby, he wrote a book called Circle Selling and another book called Smile. He does sales training for builders all over Texas. Really phenomenal guy, and anybody that wants to learn builder needs to read his book. He told me people do business with who they like.
Right.
And I know my loan officers hear me say it all the time. That's really what it boils down to. And it's not trying to be likable because that doesn't work. Mm-mm. But just be genuine, relatable. He teaches salespeople, just, people will do business with you if they genuinely like you, and then everything else starts to become less important. Obviously, price is always going to be important. Rate's always going to be important.
Right.
But if you are somebody that they trust and that they genuinely like and feel like is out for their best interest, they're going to do business with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of stuck ever since, and it's still a big part of, when I train loan officers, it has to be part of what your image is.
Yeah.
Be likable.
Yeah, for me it was, because I've been in sales even longer than mortgages, right? And so started off selling mobile homes. Then I worked for a home builder for a while.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, that's what led into mortgage. I had a mortgage broker tell me how great the mortgage business was.
Yeah.
And made me think I was going to play a lot more golf.
I thought so too.
Yeah. Have 2 lunches and stuff like this, I was like, oh, okay. But no. So, but it's been great. But yeah, what I was getting to though is the whole portion about being yourself and relaxing and kind of taking that deep breath. Yeah, there's a lot of mechanics to sales, but it just starts with the inner confidence of being you.
If you don't have that, you'll never get to the mechanics.
Exactly.
You never will.
Right.
Now, the mechanics are what are going to ultimately back it up, and make it sustainable. But you have to get to that point first, and you have to have a modicum of likability, up front. So.
Nah, I'm just gonna be an asshole all the time, Brian.
You're a big teddy bear. You know it.
Keyword big. Come on now.
I mean that lovingly.
I'm full bodied. That's what it is with a robust finish. So what do you want people to know about Build and Thrive? What's the message? We've talked a lot about what you do and how much you love the company, but is there a special message you want to get out there about the company you're representing?
Really what I want to do with Build is change the way lenders are looked at. Again, I said earlier that I hate the connotation of just the lender.
Right.
I want builders to realize that we want to be a partner. Otherwise, we're just a commodity, right?
Sure.
A 30-year fixed,
trade and sell.
Fixed. Exactly. So I think the most important aspect is we want to know how our partners operate. I want to know who their contract managers are. I want to know who their project managers are. I want to know that 90 days into the process, are they hanging cabinets or are they hanging sheetrock? We want to know, the better we know how they operate, the better partner we can be. So it's kind of changing the mindset. Again, we do mortgages. That's how we get paid. But we want to take it a step beyond that and realize that, okay, what challenges do we need to help fix? How do we help them sell houses? So that's important. And then, of course, the product. Yes, product is absolutely important, but, and that's building products around what their needs truly are.
Sure.
And I think the other part of it is that I love talking about, and I know we have limited time, but the construction lending world, which is such a big part of our footprint,
dude,
it's I love it. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of
I had no
knowledge.
idea.
Oh yeah. But you like it though, right?
Now that I'm learning
Once you learn, yeah.
I mean, it was like when I started learning about condo lending.
Oh yeah.
Like that's
a different world. It's intimidating,
dude. Builder, condo, all that stuff. That's like a special language. You know what I mean?
But I love it.
Been very blessed to work with people that are masters at each.
It is, and I think so. Construction lending for your luxury homes, your affluent clients, hey,
Sure.
That's great. It's been around for a while. What we're trying to do is, so if we know that the single biggest issue facing housing right now is affordability, right? And that's caused by obviously increasing land cost, materials cost, but more importantly, even labor costs. It's really hard to find good trades right now. But so we really want to focus on the entry level,
right?
That's really been relegated to your Lennars and KBs and a lot of other builders out there. Well, what we're trying to do is change that mindset and go, okay, you can build a house on your piece of land or find a piece of land, not necessarily in a community where somebody's right on top of you. You don't have to be affluent. You don't have to have 20% down. You don't have to have perfect credit scores. And I think that's been something that I think we're really proud of over the last year is saying, you got a 600 credit score? Great.
Yeah.
You only want to put down 3.5%? Great. You're a veteran and you want to build a $700,000 house and not put a penny down for a down payment? Great. And it's really educating, our partners and realtors and buyers and all that home, it's not just, that you can go out and buy a house, but you could build the house you really want, which is really, really cool. And I absolutely love working with production builders. Those are the big strategic partnerships. But I cut my teeth on working with custom builders.
The family builder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that it's extremely gratifying to help somebody finance a house that it's either on their land or that they design themselves. I went through it myself recently. Every house I've bought up till now has either been a semi-custom or resale. And Nancy and I built our first home where I designed it literally from the napkin up. And it can be a little stressful.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I'm sure like once it's done, there's that feeling of like, this is mine.
Yes. But until then,
I just feel like I would probably have multiple ulcer situations and migraines and maybe a stroke.
Right? You've heard the saying, a stroke, yeah. Make sure your marriage is on firm ground before you build a custom. And we've seen scenarios where they kind of fall apart in the middle of it, because there's so much you have to take into account.
Yeah, it's not just picking tile.
Exactly, cabinet colors, that sort of thing. You're literally picking everything. But to the extent that we can help clients do that, and somebody's going to build a $250,000 house, they don't need a ton of money. I mean, it's basically as easy, to build a house on a piece of land out and burn it, your beautiful tract of land, that your family gifted you, whatnot, as it would be to walk into, Sienna, up in Hurd, that sort of thing. So really changing that dynamic. And then also, I love working or trying to bring the realtor and builder community together.
Yeah.
I think there's friction there. There always has been.
There has been as long as I can remember.
Yeah. And I think some of it's justified, but a lot of it's just not knowing, it's just lack of education.
Lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge, and bringing those two worlds together is a lot of fun. But other than that, it's just, I love working with loan officers that really are passionate about builder, and I think that we're in a great place for that. So.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because obviously now that you've been on the road a lot more, right, and you've been going down to the territories I've been covering forever, does it blow your mind, and do you see it in other parts of the country, the way how the further south you get in Texas, the less, let's call it big box builder, major builder, the less of that you see, and the more you see that semi-custom, or that, family builder.
It really,
You know what I mean? Because when you were talking about like that construction financing, right? That right there is a gold mine, because a lot of times, like when you've got that smaller size builder, they do beautiful work, but they're not carrying massive lines of credit to go out and build, 4 spec homes and 18 inventory houses or whatever the case may be, right? So that construction loan is one of those things to where it's a game changer for those folks. Because what I failed to realize is there's so few of us that are doing it.
Very few.
And even few of the ones that do it, even fewer of them do it well.
You're right. And it's an interesting question, because I did not know. I knew nothing about, again, I didn't know what the Valley was. Much less McAllen and all those areas down there.
It's a whole other world, bro.
And all that kind of stuff. It is. It's like the Wild West in some cases. Fortunately, I've got, Felix and Andrew, two of our amazing loan officers down there. They've kind of helped me, learn the culture. And it is very different than it is up here, how business is done. And they would tell me that, hey, the big box guys tried. They tried to go down there.
Yeah. They got kicked out.
They got kicked out. And you don't have one builder doing 200 homes in one community.
No.
You might have 200 builders building, 1 or 2 homes in some of these communities. It's just amazing. I mean, they'll go in and they'll build 1 or 2 at a time, and then another builder will build 1 or 2, whatever. And I will tell you, the house that you can have built for $250,000, I mean, in some cases, it's palatial. It's amazing, because it's the one area in every one of our markets where trades are not an issue, and the trades are phenomenal, and their craftsmanship is just absolutely amazing. Not that the craftsmanship is necessarily worse the farther north you get, but as trade issues, as competition in these big marketplaces, it becomes so fierce. Correct. It's hard to get the same quality work. And again, you can build an amazing house, and you can finance it. And to be able to finance these houses for people that, again, they may not have perfect credit scores. They may not have a ton of money to put down. It's extremely gratifying. And I love working in submarkets as much as we have our major stronghold, so to speak, in places like Austin, Dallas, all that sort of thing. I love. The more I learn about these sub-markets, so to speak, it's thoroughly enjoyable. And I like the smaller guys. I love, we have some very good national relationships and love them to death, but there's just, again, something gratifying. You get a builder that's doing 10 homes a year, then now they want to do 20 or 30.
Right.
Well, now that you have a solution to help their clients buy a home without them having to finance it themselves, it allows them to do that.
Yeah.
So.
And it helps them grow.
Absolutely.
Right. And it kind of lends to that whole creating a true partnership that you mentioned.
It is, and you mentioned there's a lack of people that know what they're doing. And there are a couple banks, again, I'll use McAllen as an example. There seems to be a few that do it, and by default, everybody kind of uses them.
Right.
And they're able to get away with murder, you know, and to be able to come in and offer such a cool alternative, a real world alternative has been very, very gratifying and been very well received. You know, and the same thing with let's see if I can say this right, Laredo. Same thing there. You don't have as many of you have some of the players like Movement and Prime and all that, but you don't have as many of these big, massive mortgage companies with huge
No.
spaces. And, if you go in there and help them, like you said, grow,
Yeah.
and your knowledge base is there, I mean, you just kill it.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
It is. I mean, like I said, like I was oblivious to it.
I was too.
And well, I'm more referring to the program. Like I always knew there was this whole subset because I mean, I grew up in Laredo and then lived in the valley for like 10 years. And so I always knew that these were these builders that were there. Right. But I didn't understand like from a mortgage perspective, the power of the C2P or CP2 or C2P or whatever, construction to perm.
Yep.
Until I got here where I am today. And
That's a big part of your business.
Huge.
Yeah.
And then I go down to McAllen to visit the new team, and we're going over the pipeline and stuff, and I'm like, what's this? X millions of dollars we've got sitting in this one. Oh, that's our construction loan. I'm like, what? Yep. Oh yeah, it's gonna be great come March or April. It's like, wow, okay, great.
Yep.
And these ladies are just building this thing out. Like, I mean, it's gonna be a great 2020, but I just had no appreciation for it.
Until you do.
I had no knowledge, But let me ask you this, though. Like, describing that market, have you run into a similar market in another part of the country?
No.
Not yet?
No, not yet.
So, completely unique?
I mean, I'm sure they exist.
Sure, you just haven't been there yet.
But haven't been there yet. In fact, Felix he's been there for a long time, and he's done a phenomenal job. So, the other loan officer, Andrew Riddle, that works in that market for us, he actually joined us because he was a competitor. And when we came into that builder account, Felix did a phenomenal job, very knowledgeable on the product. Because of our product mix, Andrew goes, well, hey, I can't win, so what do? You join him. If you can't win him, you join him. And that, I had to tell you, that gives me a lot of gratification, just because, I think what we're building and the product mix and all that, to get somebody to go, hey, you know what, if I can't beat them, I'll join them. Yeah. And when you have really quality people that you can pull over that way, it's great. But yeah, I mean, it's very different than, say, Houston and Dallas and certainly Denver and all that kind of stuff. So, no, I haven't seen anything quite like it.
Have you set a master goal for yourself for 2020? I know you're a goal guy, dude. Like, we don't know each other that well, but I mean, I have a very sneaky suspicion you're a goal dude.
Well, I think our obviously we have a revenue goal. We really want to get to 250 million in build a business. And I think we'll actually surpass that. Randall, our national sales manager, he loves to tease me. He goes, he pushes me 1 billion in builder business, and that's not my, love to say it's my 2020 goal, but that's my ultimate goal within the next couple of years is to get us to that point. But
dude, I think Randall's so cool, man.
He's been hugely impactful for us, and
meeting him was really cool. Like, shout out to Randall. Yeah, you guys got a good one there.
We had a lot of series of events, very fortunate events that kind of happened all at once. When we rebranded and just had kind of the right fit, the right people come into place. In every company I've been at, they want to grow, and have been a part of companies that backslid, and it's kind of sad to see where they're at now. Randall came on board, and right at the right time, he saw what we were doing, the vision we had, how we wanted to grow, and he's really kind of helped us elevate and take it to the next level, and growth has been exponential. Yeah. And it can be intimidating, but at the same time, for me to get to travel to all these different markets and in Florida and all that kind of stuff, markets places I've never even been before. Right. I was in Kentucky a few weeks ago and at a manufactured housing expo, and as we really move into that space, it's fun. And Randall's been a huge part of that.
I sold mobile.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, I didn't know that about you. I put that in
cut my teeth on mobile homes.
Yeah. They're not called mobile homes anymore, though, right?
Manufactured homes. Yeah. And then I think if you get real fancy, they're modulars.
Well, they're cross mods now. That's the new thing. So cross mod, that's the kind of the new term for the new Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They've got their programs to where, I mean, I'm telling you, Bobby, these are not your grandmother's mobile home.
Dude, I gotta be honest with you. They weren't your grandma's mobile homes when I sold them way back in the '90s either. I mean, and they continue to evolve, right?
They do. And, you know, there's the point where the consistent theme that you hear is, well, you can't tell the difference. You know, and obviously Ben Carson has had a huge impact. You know, you got somebody that's, you know, that's really pushing the agenda of affordable housing, which truly is, you know, the biggest issue facing housing. So having people like that really advocate for that marketplace that traditionally, especially in Texas, has been much maligned, you know, and the stigma around it. So, but yeah, so that's another big initiative.
Is that that's something you guys are moving into pretty heavy?
So yeah, I mean, you know, we've been doing construction lending for well over a decade now, and I think we've really perfected it. You know, in truly in-house, which I believe you guys do as well. You know, we're not talking like when I used to originate. We would partner with local banks. You know, you send them my construction loan and pray to God.
Give me the final.
Exactly. It breaks up continuity. But the fact that we do it all in-house, you know, draw everything from builder approvals, draws, all that kind of stuff. So we've been doing it for a while, you know, and so, you know, a couple of years ago, or, you know, a little over a year ago when we really said, okay, well, we want to move into manufacture because we believe things like manufactured housing, condos, stuff like that are the solution. It was kind of a natural fit. You know, and once again, you know, as we started realizing that the inherent risk of doing a, you know, manufactured house, one-time close with somebody on a 580 credit score was not dramatically, you know, different than somebody with a 640 or 660.
Right.
Why not at least take that risk? And so, yeah, so, you know, we spent the last couple of years really developing out the product and the program. Now we're going out and understanding that mindset and starting to make strategic partners with the big players, you know, in that field. So, which is really my cup of tea. So,
dang, dude, congratulations!
Yeah, it's fun. I never thought I really would have played in that space, but it's pretty exciting, you know. And you get to work with, you know, these guys that are, and you know, you got the Claytons and the champions of the world that are building, you know, massive amounts of these things. So,
yeah, I was a Fleetwood guy.
Were you?
Yeah, I was a Fleetwood guy, so we didn't like Clayton, but you know,
I don't know that any of the other guys actually like Clayton, but
dude, they're a powerhouse.
They are. I mean, they're the largest. They're
like the one left standing. It seems like I don't see a whole lot of Fleetwoods out there anymore. I know they're there somewhere, but I see Clayton. Yeah, you know, they held out.
Clayton's huge, and then you got Champion Skyline.
Palm Harbor too.
Palm Harbor, yeah, they have a. They're still. I mean, they're one of the last remaining independents out there that are still kind of chugging along. They like to do things their own way, and they've done very well at it. You know, we talked about loan officers that can focus on builder. You have to have a totally different loan officer that will focus on manufactured.
Sure.
Although we are trying.
It is absolutely a specialty.
It is a specialty, and even fewer people want or are able to play in that space. But we're trying to help change that too. You know, we're trying to realize that well, why can't if I'm saying Bobby, you should be visiting XYZ builder. There are 10 communities around town at least once every 2 weeks. Why can't you have the same sort of milk rat mentality with a manufactured home dealer? And visit each dealership.
You can
on a regular basis.
I mean, I
think you need to.
Well, really, all you're doing is you're making them a master of something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I had a boss once tell me, because of course, early in my career, I'm trying to do all these different little things and all this other stuff to just generate money. And he's like, dude, you're a jack of all trades and a master of none. I'm like, oh. It's like, find something, own it, and then just make that your thing.
And that's when you flourish. That's when I flourished.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I love my realtor friends out there, but once I focused on builder, that's when I started to flourish.
Yeah.
And you have to dip into it, or you have to jump into it. You can't dip your feet into it. And that's ultimately why I ended up where I'm at now, because so many of the companies I work with in the past, they've wanted to do builder. They might have done a pretty good job, but I love where I'm at because it's a huge core of who we are.
Right.
Much like it is for y'all.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, dude, I think it's great, man. I'm over here cheering for you, even though we're competitors.
Likewise.
I'm cheering for you on the sidelines, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got to meet you and Nancy, and there was this moment where there was a consideration for the company I was with at the time. It was like, I remember walking away from it like, even though you didn't choose us, turkey.
And you're not there anymore anyway. So.
Oh yeah, shucks. You made a right choice anyway.
Go,
but I remember thinking like, you know what, whatever these folks do, they're gonna be amazing at it, and you're nailing it, dude. You're nailing it.
No,
so
I appreciate it. I'm having fun is what I'm doing, and I'm extremely blessed and by the glory of God, and I think to the extent that I realize that I've been blessed, over the last 10 some odd years, now it's my turn to push that over to
pay it forward.
And really help out the next generation, and I loved when you reached out, and I think you were there 2 weeks, and I was already calling you for picking your brain on stuff, and I think that collaboration is important. I think I talked to very briefly. I suggested the idea to Michael Nasfar, who I know have a ton of respect for. Kind of floating the idea with him and some of the other really builder-focused people. I think having open dialogue on the challenges and what we found success with, and I'd love to see you kind of help propagate that, or at least something that we can do is continue to have discussions on what challenges we face and why we love the builder side, and go from there.
Well, as soon as we stop recording, I mean, I want to float some names of some people that maybe you've been builders down in that area, because again, I don't need to be the only one. I just want to have the right competition.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know who the other players are in those areas, and dude, nah.
From what I've heard, and I think having we play nice. It's again, I'm not afraid of competition, and we've had really good kind of gentlemen's agreements with other preferred lenders. I think it can be extremely helpful. You know, and you need help with an appraisal. We'll see what we can do.
Right.
Or you do something that we can't. Hey, why not? I would rather send it to folks
someone
that I
you
know
trust,
and than just let it go by the wayside, because there are some rough ones down there. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, yeah, because some of them are still my friends. So, but yeah, man, I think it's cool. Have you run into? There's one builder, and I won't say names until after the episode, but there's a builder down there who's doing smart homes. Have you run into this fellow yet?
No.
Okay. So check this out. We'll talk about it after I hit record. But
of course, I've heard multiple definitions of smart homes, though.
No, like this is like the smartest home I would have ever seen, especially for the Rio Grande Valley. So I did a podcast with this builder group like a year ago, 2 years ago, and not a year ago, and anyway, they're building these houses, and so he's like, "Yeah, come and see our houses," and so on and so forth. So I go out and I look, and he was one of the first ones I had seen, especially down there. Now I know up here it's different, but down there it was like it had the Ring doorbell, with the camera. It had the smart lights. He was doing the smart lights. He had the smart thermostats.
Smart glass. Smart glass and all that kind of stuff.
Not yet.
That's cool.
But it was the in-home speaker system, Alexa channeling throughout it. Yada yada yada. Travertine countertops, beautiful marble everywhere. And so we're walking this model, and I'm like, dude, wow, what is it? Have you sold? Like, when are you gonna sell it? He's like, oh, we already sold it. He's like, how much do you think we sold it for? I'm like, about $450, $475.
Yep.
He was like, nope. And he starts laughing. He's like, nah, man, $282.
Yep.
I'm like, what?
Yep. That's what I'm telling you. I mean, this stuff is palatial.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. And you have, like you said, the finest, stone floors and countertops and all that kind of stuff that you just don't see up here.
Right.
I mean, you see it, but 2-3 times the cost. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love builders that are trying to be more innovative. We work with a 3D printing company here. A little over a year ago, we started working with them, and that's the one cool thing about Austin is it's kind of a breeding ground for innovation.
Yeah.
And I love working with builders that are finding new ways to solve issues that have been around for forever and only getting worse. So smart homes, yes, and then building technology and 3D printing and all that kind of stuff. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, it is. And plus that with that 3D, isn't there a group that's using the 3D technology to build homes? Was it for homeless?
So I mean, there's that, and then there's Icon, that does it for They've got their little community just outside of town, and I think they've got some projects, outside.
That
of the
blows
country.
my mind, man.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, you're taking something, and 3D printed technology is fascinating, because you've got material, this composite stone material that, doesn't burn. It stands up to high degrees of wind, and it's this stuff that you see in the Roman Colosseum, and that's still around after, just a couple years.
Just a few.
So as you start to see real world applications, look out.
Right.
It's fun. And you got Developods, who we met with the other day, really, really cool company, one to look out for here in Austin. It's finding, I love companies that are taking affordability, trade issues, all that, and finding solutions for that, and to the extent that we get to work with them.
That's awesome.
It's so much fun.
What's that smart glass stuff you were mentioning?
So, yeah, that's really cool. So, people who live in glass houses, well, we built a house that has a lot of glass in it. I didn't know what smart glass really was. So what it is if, in so many of these new houses, these contemporary or soft contemporary homes have a ton of glass.
Right.
Problem is, you feel like you're in a fishbowl at times, or the sunlight and all that. So smart glass is two things. You can either have it installed, or it's literally like tint you put over it. And you can use your phone to change it to perfectly crystal clear, like a regular window, to frosted glass, to, I've seen all kinds of different
Really?
options. Yeah, it's really cool stuff.
So you don't need curtains or blinds?
Absolutely. And so if you look at the new, more contemporary homes, you want hard, fine lines, very clean, not messy. Curtains messy that up, you know, and shutters and all that kind of stuff. So you don't need any of that anymore. It still keeps that really tight finish. So yeah, it's and I'm a geek on this kind of stuff, but it's been, over the last week as I've kind of learned more about it, and I'm gonna have them come out and I'm gonna test it out on my house.
You gonna do
it? I'm gonna give it a try anyway.
Oh,
we'll see.
you gotta send me some photos of that, bro.
We'll see what it looks like. But in like you have got dogs, and when they bark at anything and everything that walks by,
right.
Smart glass seems like a pretty darn cool alternative. So I'm gonna give it a shot.
I don't know, man. I think my dog can sniff it. Like,
he doesn't need to see it.
He doesn't need to see it. He just smells it. But I will say, like, he's more of a whiner than a barker.
We have barkers.
You have barkers?
Yeah.
He's a whiner.
Yeah. It's weird though. They won't bark. Like we live out in Cimarron, and so we have a fairway behind us. They don't bark at anybody back there.
Yeah.
But people that are walking front, it's just the front door. They don't like it a bit.
They don't like it at all.
They don't like it at all.
Dude, I think I have a better chance of my cat deterring an intruder than my dog. I mean, you saw it. You walked up and he was like, "You got any bacon?"
He did not want to leave me alone.
No, dude, he was all about it.
Yeah.
So, well, cool, man. Well, can you believe you've done an hour and a half?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's what happens when you love what you talk about. So yeah.
See?
No.
Look at that.
It's a good time.
Not bad for no agenda.
I know. I think I texted you a couple hours ago. Hey, do we have any agenda for this? Just show up.
Just show up. Just show up, man. I got bourbon. You don't need an agenda. You got
I'm
bourbon.
Not a bourbon. I had I probably had my first official bourbon when we were out in Kentucky. One of my loan officers in Dallas said, "You got to try the Bourbon Trail." I'm not a bourbon drinker, but it was an experience. And it was so cool to see how it's done, and I learned all about what the difference between bourbon and all that is. And
so, what's your drink? More like some of it. Sometimes I'm just craving a beer. Don't get me wrong, right? But usually, like, mine is red wine, and I keep a lot of vineyards in business. Let's put it that way. But I wanted to try to branch out. Vodka. I love vodka.
Yeah.
A good vodka cocktail. I've worked with people who were big gin people, and I could never get into gin. But I do have a story for you on that. But so I just started playing around with the bourbon thing. And so I didn't know you weren't into bourbon. When you said, "Are you gonna have any whiskey?" I was like, "Yeah."
I was joking, right?
No. I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
But I do appreciate the
Oops.
offer.
I didn't even offer. I just poured it.
No, you did. That's quite all right. Actually, Prosecco's kind of been my thing lately.
Oh.
I think it was the Ghoulies at Builder Boost.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know them well, but he he's drinking a little bottle, looked like a beer, and I said, "What is that?" He goes, "We'll try it." It's just prosecco. It's just
Really?
Italian sparkling wine, and since I had surgery, I kind of have to watch what I eat and drink a
Sure.
little bit, and it's just good, crisp, and doesn't have a lot of calories in it, and it's good, tolerable. I like cold.
So do I.
So
That's why with this, I don't pour neat.
yeah,
I gotta have ice.
yeah,
Give me ice. If we ever hit a zombie apocalypse,
you're in trouble.
I'm in trouble, dude, because there's no ice.
Yeah,
That's it.
I think I would be too. No
Yeah,
ice and no air conditioning.
just chew me
move
up.
north.
Yeah.
There are places where
I'm
there's
not gonna.
natural ice.
What?
So.
I can't shower every day. What?
Uh-oh.
This is not gonna be a good time.
You're gonna have a problem.
So,
This is
wow,
fun.
dude.
Yeah,
You like it?
Yeah, this is good.
Good, man. Dude, I'm so excited that you took the time to come out here. I know you're busy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like I said, you're going to be my new mentor in this kind of stuff. So
Oh.
I'm a big believer in finding mentors and in mentoring. So yeah, this was a good experience.
You will be dramatically underwhelmed.
Well, so far so good. So I appreciate the time.
Not a problem. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, give us a like, give us a share. Otherwise, just stay social, everybody. See you next time. Say bye, Brian.
Bye, Brian.